Hey everybody, this is two nice, two Dynamite dudes with attitude, and we are here. It's a Halloween spooktacular, Marcus. I want really wanted
A spooktacular, Dom.
spooktacular.
Oh,
Welcome. We're celebrating Halloween with a little AEW Dynamite flavor. I myself am dressed like the natural Dustin Rhodes, and Marcus half-assed it as Orange Cassidy, doing a bang-up job.
Which is what Orange Cassidy would do.
Exactly.
Theoretically.
Right?
Pass it.
I
know I put a lot of heat on Orange Cassidy as a wrestler, but that being said, very easy costume to put together.
Amazingly easy. I would think that's probably. Do you think that would probably be the most used AEW costume at this point in time?
I would say 100%. Gotta be.
Gotta be. I don't know who. Darby Allin might be ranked up there because of the half skull face, but
yeah, I would say so.
Oh, Marcus, I just noticed. I hate to go a little off topic, but you readjust your figures around there, huh?
Oh, Dom, I got to make some moves. So it's the important things in life, Dom, where my figures are.
Is that one figure above the giant there? Is that just precariously sitting on top of the giant?
It is. I need a shelf, Dom. I'm running out of. There's no cases for like my doubles figures, so it's for now.
Are you concerned that a cat may knock that over?
Sometimes you get life is full of risks, Dom. You just gotta close your eyes and jump sometimes.
That's right. Well, they did take some risks this week on AEW Dynamite. Overall, Marcus, what was your biggest takeaway from the show?
Well, I like that it's starting to take shape as far as what's going to be going on at Full Gear. We got to see a lot of what we have in store. A few things were solidified, and always good to see Eric Bischoff on my TV.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be a real big takeaway for you, and I thought it's always. We'll get to that in a little bit because I thought he did a very nice job in his role. So
and Eric is money. Every time he's on the screen, he's like a good performer. He's always consistent. He never gets like nervous or stumbly. By the way, Luchasaurus during that segment, you could see that he was visibly shaking with the paper. I kind of felt bad for him. He was like very, very nervous. But not Bischoff, man. He's an old pro, and he held his own.
Yeah, he really weaved in like those questions very well too, and like how he like thanked everybody for being there. Like he went from Jericho to the Inner Circle to MJF. I thought it was really like seamless. Just the stuff like that really does stand out when it happens.
Do you just want to talk about the town hall thing right now?
I guess we might as well. I had a different first takeaway, but let's go with this one. Because I mean, honestly, it kind of is maybe the biggest takeaway because the match got set up for Full Gear. We got Chris Jericho versus MJF. But Marcus, what do you think of the execution, the tip of the cap or like tongue-in-cheek nod to the debacles that have been the presidential debates this whole past month and a half or whatever it's been since they first started? How do you think that all worked and the execution of it all overall?
I thought it was good. A lot of moments for levity there. I love Tony Schiavone yelling at Chris Jericho to shut his mouth or whatever he went up saying to him. Thought that was great. Got annoyed just like I did during the presidential debate because Luchasaurus has always got to get his shit over about how he has a master's degree, which by the way most people nowadays do. Luchasaurus, settle the fuck down.
Oh, man. Whoa.
You know what? The heat is off of Orange Cassidy and on to Luchasaurus. I'll tell you what, man. I like great look, amazing physique, height. He like checks a lot of boxes. Now I just want him to never speak again on my TV. And I need him to wrestle less.
Damn.
A lot of heat on Luchasaurus.
Bad cop, Marcus. Like, yeah, that's what you're kind of. Not only do you look like Orange Cassidy, but you're kind of dressed like a bad cop, like a bent cop right now.
And I'll tell you what, Dom. Whenever this COVID thing is over and there's conventions, I'm going and I'll tell him right to his face, "You suck."
Wow, Marcus.
So maybe I won't go that hard, but no, it's he just gets on my nerves, dude.
Yeah, I didn't think. I mean, I could tell he was nervous. But it didn't really get on my nerves. Like, I think that's part of his thing, though, too, is like he's kind of like an intelligent dinosaur in a way. So,
All right, say that sentence back again, Dominic, and tell me what the fuck we're watching on TV. He's kind of an intelligent dinosaur. That's his gimmick.
That's in the world here.
Are you kidding me? That's a wrestling gimmick in 2020, and people have the nerve to shit on TL Hopper, or Duke Drozy, and you're like, "There's a smart dinosaur. What do you want from this guy? It's his gimmick." Are you kidding me?
I'm still with you though on like the heel turn with Abaddon and stuff like that, though.
Yes, that's the only way to salvage Luchasaurus at this point. If you're gonna put a mic in his hand, tell him to quit getting his shit over about how he's educated and nobody gives a damn. And put him with Abaddon and just make him a spooky character. Even that Dom, even that's probably got legs, about the same amount of legs as like the Boogeyman in WWF. Right, where it's like, where it was cool for like 8 months, and then we're just like, he's a joke gimmick that comes out. I don't know.
But I think that WWE has given that us tendency of like that expectation of like, okay, this gimmick is elevated to this point, but it'll fall back down to earth at some point or another. And I mean, from a realistic standpoint, that happens with everything, but WWE really drops it. Like, just drops a weight on the fucking anchor and sends you down. But like, I think if you're able to say if you were putting all your chips in on a heel Luchasaurus teaming with Abaddon, I think you get a pretty solid top title run if you handle it right.
Hey, you know who else would be great in that group is the Boogeyman. He's still in tremendous shape. I think he's like 50 years old, but he's ripped. Like, get him in that group. Screw it. Let's have some fun with this thing if we're gonna do it. Throw up a Hail Mary.
If you're going to do it, you got to do it. If you're going to do it, you got to do it.
I'll tell you what, I'm in on this. But anyways, Town Hall segment, I thought it was good in general, man. Obviously, you know how I feel about Eric Bischoff. He's awesome. MJF came off as like a smarmy pain in the butt, which is perfect. And best part of all is it set up the match. And Dom, let me tell you, we've been beating this drum now for a while. This would be a very, very easy time to have the Inner Circle turn on Chris Jericho in favor of MJF. They've set it up that they don't like him already, that they don't think that he should be a part of them. And it's like, man, what a cool swerve that would be if here all along they're working together with him.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Yeah, some notes I did want to make is I thought, MJF, where his handling of like some of the reaction he got, like, he's very condescending to, like, not only was he to like Luchasaurus, but he was to Bischoff. He's like, but you're trying. And then he, like, people started booing him. And he's like, excuse me, the mic's in my hand. This is not a complicated aspect.
Right.
It's like very funny, smarmy delivery. And I always appreciate some smarm. So, something else that was funny that they played a nod to, not only Tony interrupting or telling Jericho to shut up during the debates, but the whole Reba segment. Did you notice that? Did you pick up on that? Did you see that with that lady and the actual debates?
Oh, no, I did not.
You did not see that.
No.
So that was a clear reference to this lady with red glasses during, I want to say it was the town hall meeting. It was, so they were not having the debate, but it was Trump by himself. This lady comes up and she's like, you know what? You have such a great smile. I love your smile. You're just so handsome. And she was like doing that. Everybody's just like, that's fucking weird. Like, what the hell? Why did you get called up to this? Like, I don't care what your opinion is about now at all.
On his smile, yeah.
Yeah.
I did think it was funny, and then they pan over to Jericho, and he's got that big stupid grin on his face.
Yeah.
They did a great job with it.
They did a very nice job, and like, again, it's topical, it's in the mix. Wrestling, I feel like, has always done something to this effect, where they play off of something current events, and it just kind of depends on if it's executed right or if it's not executed right. This was executed, I think, pretty well.
Yeah. The only thing they could do differently is, next time Luchasaurus is talking, just cut the mic and pan the crowd.
Damn. Going hard. Holy smokes.
Oh, sorry. I got to get my heel shit in, Dom. Just like Luchasaurus has always got to get his shit in about how he has a master's degree. I have to get my heel shit in, too.
Whew, man. Well, so you think, I'm trying to think. Well, last week they booked it that it's Ortiz and Sammy teaming up against MJF and Wardlow. What do you think of that? And how would you handle that? Especially, let's say the end game to this is that MJF joins the Inner Circle and kicks Jericho out. So let's say that's the end game. How would you handle next week's match?
Well, yeah, well, to me, it's clear that MJF and Wardlow have to go over. That's the only way that you make MJF's match with Jericho mean anything. And then, so the way to handle it, in my opinion, is like have him get a bunch of heat on the Inner Circle guys. Have MJF come in and cheat and act like a coward and do all that kind of stuff, and then pull out the win, maybe by cheating. And then that further establishes why those guys should hate him. And then when and if they turn on Jericho, it makes the swerve even more surprising.
You want it to seem but you don't want it to be Russo-esque where it's just like, oh, we're really, really like for the sake of like them getting beat up, like they're getting beat up, they're doing all this stuff.
I mean, I'm not saying get any juice or anything like that, but have MJF cheat and act like a coward and do all that stuff. And then when the time comes, they all turn on Jericho. I mean, nobody would expect it, and it would make for a good babyface run for Jericho.
You want to hear how I do it? This is how I do it next week.
I didn't really ask, but hey, hammer on.
But this is, I would have MJF and Wardlow get the win. But who gets the win? Who gets the pinfall? But Wardlow. Okay, so you've been building up Wardlow these past few months, like teasing that MJF has power over him, all that stuff, and like even at the beginning of this tonight, or I mean on Dynamite, he was like, "Hey, if you win, it's my belt," essentially, and Wardlow's like, "Okay," he's basically a servant. So what you have happen is like maybe Wardlow ultimately makes the save for Jericho at the end, and Jericho and Wardlow align while the tables get turned in the Inner Circle is with MJF.
I don't know. Because then Wardlow's a babyface.
There's nothing wrong with that at this point. Because
look, Wardlow to be a heel.
It would be one thing. If they booked it like we naturally see, where it's like Wardlow, where you see that alliance between two guys like Shawn and Diesel, or guys that have stuck around for like an enforcer that been around for years. But they really already made those hints at this point in time. So you're already seeing they've already associated dissension in the ranks with that. So, I mean, in this case, I'm feeling like if you're going to do it, just rip the Band-Aid right off then and put him with Jericho as kind of his enforcer and his partner in crime. Because I think it would be kind of a neat story to have Jericho have his whole world crumble around him, where he's the top guy. He was the top guy. Everybody's boosting him up. He's this leader of the Inner Circle, all this stuff. But then all that gets ripped out from under him, by treachery and stuff like that. But who comes to make the save? But this guy who's been done dirty by MJF here. So,
I mean, I can see it. I don't know. I see value to both ideas. I will say that down the road, I'd like to see Wardlow as a baby face coming up against Brian Cage, bastard out there. That could be pretty interesting stuff. So I don't know. It's I see value in both. Hopefully AEW does one or the other. We'll see what happens.
What did you think of that opener between Wardlow and Adam Hangman?
I thought it was great, man. Again, Wardlow is working the way that a big man should, and then he pulls out like a crazy move. Like I think he did like a shooting star press or something.
Yeah. I think it was just
it
top
was a swanton.
High swanton, very high swanton.
Yes, it is swanton. And again, it means more because it's not like he's doing that crap all match. He does it at the end. It's like throwing up a Hail Mary. So yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was well worked. Obviously Hangman Page was going to go over, you and I called that last week. But yeah, I mean, it's a good setup for, his thing with Kenny. And again, if they do it right, can firmly establish Kenny as a heel, Hangman as a babyface. So yeah, good match, solid match between two rather large guys with some great athleticism.
I thought the finish was awesome too. 2 buckshot lariats. The first one doesn't take the big man down. You got to get him another one. Give him another
Yep.
one.
No, I thought it was great, man.
Yeah. Hard hitting, fast paced, and a well told story throughout it. I really, really like that as an opener.
It's funny. It's funny. You got a guy like Wardlow. You know, he's big guy. He hasn't been in the business for a super long time, so you'd expect him to be green. But I never have complaints about his matches.
No, it's like for the most part, I feel it's pretty smooth. Like
Yep.
anything he's done or been a part of, there's nothing that's like, whoa, okay, that's awkward or anything like that. Nothing at all. So
Yeah, no, he does a great job. I'm blown away by Wardlow. I think that he's got star written all over him. I kind of wish that he had a finish that wasn't the F10, because it looks cool, but calling it the F10 as opposed to the F5 and like positioning him the way that they do, it's like you can tell that Tony Khan's like that's our answer to Brock Lesnar. It's like no, like let him be his own thing. There's one Brock Lesnar out there on the face of the planet. We don't need any more. Let Wardlow be his own guy.
I think that'll come in time too. I think just naming your finisher like one-upping a top star is not that bad. I mean, imitation's the highest form of flattery. So I mean,
Here's the other thing, Dom, is you want to be able to pull your finish on absolutely anybody. And so like right now he can, he's a big dude and he can pull it off on a lot of people. Could he do it to Lance Archer? I don't know. Could he do it to somebody the size of Paul White if they were to ever get somebody like that in the promotion? Probably not. So it's, I guess it creates intrigue, but at the same time, you don't want to set yourself up for failure by having a finisher that you can only pull off on certain people.
it's a good point. Definitely a good point. So yeah, no, but overall, very good opener. I will say probably might be my favorite match of the night. Might be, but we'll get to that later. What I wanted to get to, and this was my big story, my top story of this episode, was the Young Bucks and their segment with FTR and Excalibur. Just still weird, man. Still weird. And then the payoff at the end is something we've seen with Cody about, hey, if we lose, we're never going to challenge for these belts again. Stakes are raised, but are they really that intriguing at this point? What do you think of that whole segment?
To me, that's them saying we're losing the match. It's sort of the same thing with Cody, where it's like we're just going to lose the match and then no return matches. So I don't know, that kind of to me it sort of gave it away. Also, I sort of liked it in that it gave us a clear idea as to what's going on. So they've been acting like heels. And we're like, well, why does it mean anything then if it's two heel teams? But they like justified their shitty behavior, kind of. And so now it's like, okay, you guys are baby faces. You're just sucky baby faces. Is like they're like, no, we're just more intense, which I called a few weeks ago, if you remember. I was like, to me, it seems like they think that they're just being intense, but it turns out they're actually just being assholes. And it's that apparently is the case where they're just like, no, we're really going for it now. It's like by kicking Tony Schiavone and Alex Marvez, like, no, dude, like it just firmly establishes in my mind that these guys do not know how to do basic storytelling. They're great in the ring. They have incredible athleticism, but like when it comes to basic, easy storytelling, they have no fucking idea what they're doing.
And it's interesting too because I kind of feel like they can play either role, like, and they've played either role in their matches. So they played like heelish tag teams, and they played good baby faces too. So it's just kind of just weird that like you can't divide that up and make one thing its own entity, and then when you decide to turn heel or turn face, you do that instead of like this mess of like, okay, what are you guys exactly? It just
no ambiguity.
There should no ambiguity whatsoever. No, very, like I thought FTR were good in it. Like the needling heels, but it's also like, yeah, like just that delivery of, yeah, hey, well, this is our justification for it, and we don't necessarily feel that bad about it. Oh, we feel bad about it because we like Tony Schiavone and we like what you've been doing is kind of, it's not right. So no matter how you justify it, Like these guys can be coming after your livelihoods or whatever. You don't see that, other baby faces doing that shit,
So
So
like I always look at it in terms like this, Dom. Like, let's say that I was like the senior in high school, and like there's kids that are younger than me, and I always like defend them, against the bullies. I'm always at school beating up the bullies. But then one day, one of the bullies makes me so mad that I go next door and I beat up my elderly neighbor. And I'm just right. So it's like maybe my heart is in the right place, technically. Where I'm just like, these bullies are such assholes. I got to take it out on somebody. But like, that makes you a heel to beat up your old neighbor.
Hey, Marcus, did you catch the Steeler game this past week?
And I do the old like, hey, what's that? It looks like that branch is falling, and my neighbor looks up, and I just punch him right in the face. Yeah, it's it just doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. They need to reevaluate.
Yeah. Where do you think this is gonna go? I mean, like, you think that they're gonna lose? Which, it's just painting themselves in a corner yet again. Because number one, FTR just won the belt, so taking the belts off them makes zero sense at this point in time.
Right.
And number two, you're not going to challenge for the titles again. You're the top tag team, arguably the top tag team AEW has. So you're not challenging for the titles again. It just seems so. The only way you can maybe get out of this is you're teasing Cody being a heel. You're teasing those guys as heels. They lose, and Cody's kind of world further implodes on him. Maybe he loses at Double or Nothing. Or, I'm sorry, Full Gear. And then they just go off the rails themselves and fucking turn full out heels. And then they don't give a shit about what they said earlier,
Well, only way to get out of it now, Dom, unless they go full blown heel like you just said, I would say is for them to go over at the pay-per-view, which I would hate. But they would have to go over at the pay-per-view and then drop the belts on Wednesday, the following Wednesday at Dynamite, back to FTR. So that's like one option.
How would that do anything, though? How would that do anything? Besides, get them out of the corner they just painted themselves in.
Exactly. And it's going to, I think that they are ego-driven to a degree where they do believe themselves to be the best tag team in the world. So I'm sure that they would like to get a win on pay-per-view against FTR, who, by the way, before they came to the promotion, I think there was a little jibber-jabber back and forth between the two teams as far as like who's better and who's better at their respective thing. Hang on, I just got a notification here. Get out of here. All right. As far as who's better at their respective thing. But yeah, it's you look at it, Dominic, how many times did Edge and Christian face the Hardy Boys? Like countless times.
Yeah.
And that's what we should be seeing between FTR and the Bucks.
In that, there was always heels and baby faces. Somebody like Edge and Christian were the heels most of the time. Maybe starting off, I think it was the other way around because the Hardys were with the Brood. So
yes.
But you had your distinctions there.
You've got to have I want to see back and forth. Let's see FTR win at the pay-per-view, and then they build toward another one, and they add a stipulation, and then the Bucks go over, and then FTR is like, we need a rubber match, and I want to see this. Theoretically, this is a huge feud between two tag teams that are largely considered the two best in the world. We should be watching this for 6 to 8 months. Yeah. And I just don't think that AEW has the patience to make that happen. So it's a shame.
And it's a shame too. They just started it off on the wrong foot, like the whole thing.
Yep. It was mishandled from the start.
I was okay with them showing friendly tension starting off maybe to an extent, but you really had to get the gears turning at that point, and then have everything unravel between the two pretty quickly.
The only one from the Elite that's been treated kind of perfectly so far has been Cody. I mean, Hangman Page is turning it around, but he's looked like a depressing alcoholic for most of his run. The Bucks, who the hell knows what they are right now? I don't know. I guess they're baby faces, but they suck. So I feel like the guys who are in charge of AEW are not positioning themselves well, and it makes no sense to me.
And I bet they're trying to do it in a way so they're helping others out. But to help others out, you kind of have to build yourself up, because you are the stars. that's it. You, Kenny, like you guys are the stars. So putting yourself there will only elevate your brand, and therein you can bring other people under that umbrella and to that level too by having them compete against you and eventually beat you. So,
well, and like look at so Private Party goes over against the Bucks early on in AEW, right? They wound up beating the Bucks in the inaugural tag team tournament. I think they beat them in the first round. And it's like long term though, that did not do anything for Private Party.
Nothing.
Now what would have done something for Private Party is having a program for 6 months with the Bucks. And again, back and forth, like who's better, like who can pull it out. Oh, these guys won that night. Oh no, these guys came back and won. That would do something for Private Party. Having them go over once and then look like jabronis does nothing for them.
Yeah, no, I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff that, like, I understand, again, that you want to be, like, helpful and help other people out, but the way to help ultimately is to get yourselves over first and establish right away to an audience that's either A, getting back into wrestling, or C or B, going, like, wanting to continue their fandom with a new product and seeing a new product. So they didn't set it up right.
Hey, let's hammer on, but before we do, Dom, I wanted to tell you, it looks like you put on that makeup and then fell asleep on your face for 3 hours.
Oh, thanks. Where does this right here somewhere?
Yeah, the entire fucking thing. What's next, Dominic?
This makeup was actually pretty rock solid. Let me say, I bought it off Amazon and got on pretty well. I mean, like, the thing is like, you got to even it out, and when you only have so much to work with and so little tools to put it on, hey, this is all kind of, I did this an hour and a half before we recorded here. So what do you want from me, huh? This is my first time doing it. I'm not some seasoned makeup vet here.
Dom, if Jim Warrior could do it every night, I think you can handle it.
Well, Jim Warrior did plenty of steroids and plenty of questionable drugs to put into his body, and was an asshole. So
not sure how the two relate, but we hammer on.
Next topic, let's talk about Kenny and Penta, the main event itself. I was surprised that this was the main event, actually, because I thought it was going to be the TNT title match. I mean, just title on the line, all that stuff. Mark, what did you think of this match?
I thought it was fine. It didn't quite live up to expectations when you talk about like two guys who are, pretty well established stars. I wasn't crazy about the whole like back and forth slapping thing. At one point, Kenny like pulled off his own shirt so he could receive the slaps, which is weird in and of itself. But then, like, again, I always look at things like if they're a shoot, and if the guy who I'm fighting for an opportunity to get at the championship was pulling his shirt over his face, I would blast him in the face while that shirt is over his face. Right?
Hockey fight.
Exactly. So Kenny, and it took him like a minute to get the shirt off. So he's like got it here, and it's like if this is a shoot, you're trying to knock him out right in that moment so you can get your title shot.
Yeah, that's his choice to take off his shirt or not.
Right. Exactly. So some of this stuff, I feel like they don't think it all the way through. But I mean, by and large, it was fine. I like that Kenny's finisher is very definitive. That's one thing I think is really cool about his character, where like when he hits a one-winged angel, the match is over. That's it. Because he doesn't let people kick out of it. And so I like that.
Has he not? I thought he's let people kick out of that before.
I don't think so. We can look through it, but I think that that's a thing of his where he does not want people to kick out of his finish. And it makes sense. Nobody should ever kick out of your finish because it makes it mean less.
Dude, that's what I love about Alexander Hammerstone is he lets nobody kick out of his finish. And like we talked about that and how important that is.
It is.
It's just like how many times, like in the late 90s, that's when it all started. That craze started. I think the big moment of people kicking out of finishers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was it like WrestleMania 15 when I think The Rock or Austin kicked out of the Rock Bottom or one of those? It's around the Rock Austin feud is when those kicks out of finishers really started picking up pace. It seemed.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly when, but I mean, now it's, that you will never see a WrestleMania main event or even like mid-card match probably ever again where people aren't hitting multiple finishes to get each other down. It should be one finish and that's that. And maybe once every 2 or 3 years in the main event, the guy gets the shoulder up after somebody hits their finish. But no, man, I think and that's what it used to be back in the day. It was always like the lead up to Bret Hart putting the sharpshooter on.
Yeah.
It was the lead up to Nash hitting the power bomb or Scott Hall hitting the Razor's Edge. It was, and once it happened, that match was over.
Yeah.
So it makes finishes mean less, which thereby makes the match mean less.
Yeah, and it's just another simple aspect of storytelling. It's just, okay, this is, if Jake the Snake lays the DDT on you, match is done. That's it.
Nope.
Nothing else.
And everything he's doing is him trying to get at the DDT, which is something that made Jake so great. It was like, you could tell all match, that's his psychology, is he's trying to find a way to put the DDT on the person.
Yeah.
That's his entire objective.
He himself knows the match will be over when that happens.
Exactly. So I like that Kenny won't let anybody kick out of the one-winged angel. I challenge you to, since he's been in AEW, I know definitively nobody's kicked out of it.
Are you sure? But you haven't. Let's make clarification here. You haven't seen the pay-per-views too much, like that you weren't in attendance.
That is true. I just feel like I remember hearing that about him, that he won't let anybody kick out of it. I don't know.
I feel like I remember seeing somebody kick out of it, whether it was Mox or Hangman or somebody. I don't know.
Well, let's get our legions of fans and listeners.
Our legions of listeners and proactive listeners. They're always communicating with us nonstop on
let's get them to weigh in, Dom. But in any case, that match, I don't know. If I were to give it like a Marcus Meltzer rating, probably a 6 out of 10, somewhere in that neighborhood. Like, it was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. Just wasn't as good as you would kind of think and hope that match would be, especially in the main event position.
I'm sort of with you. I'm a little more lower on it. Like, I thought what it did is it really highlighted everything that AEW gets criticized for in a match. So, like, the telegraph dives, there's a lot of telegraph spots in it. A lot. Like, where Penta's waiting on the outside, Kenny does his spot out, flipping out. It's just like, and then there was something else that I was just like, oh my God, this is pure, like, Penta hitting his finisher and getting it kicked out on, too. That was the thing. He hit his package pile driver, which is an awesome finisher. But it's just like, all right, this is shit that we've seen. Like, and it's athletically done and well, for most parts, minus the telegraph spots, well executed. But it's just like, this is all the shit you guys get criticized for. And it's like, if you want, and I mean, their all-in match was awesome. Like, I loved that match. But like this one, it's just like, it's something that we've cut and pasted, it seems like, every other week here with matches, or I mean every week in some form or fashion. So it's just like, it really highlighted that for me. It's just like, it was a good match, but it also was just like, all right, been there, done that. It'll kind of be forgettable in the grand scheme of it all,
You're right.
So,
you're right. Yeah. And then also, it's again, there's what were the stakes in the match? Obviously they're both trying to get a title shot, but like, as far as from a fan's perspective, it's okay. Who am I rooting for here? Both these guys are heels, are they not?
Kenny's still, I think, quote unquote, a babyface, even though he's having heelish tendencies.
He went full blown heel for his entrance and like the stupid announcing all of his accolades and stuff. So like, to me, he is 100% a heel at this point. And yeah, it's both guys are heels. And then what was up with Penta coming out with his brother? His brother wants to give him a high five. He's like, nah, and he just like goes.
I didn't notice that.
He wouldn't high five his brother, and it's like, is he going into business for himself? Like, aren't you guys in a stable? Like, what does this have to do with storyline? Damn it! Hang on, my dehumidifier just kicked on.
Oh, I thought Heather was vacuuming or something.
All right, we're good.
Now, do you think Orange Cassidy has a dehumidifier in his place?
I imagine he has a place that has zero dampness. He probably lives somewhere in Florida or something, Dom. I don't know where he's from. He's from wherever. He weighs whatever.
Whatever. Wherever. Yeah, dude. Just give me something a little bit more, I guess. Like something different, not more, different. Give me something different. Okay. So something I thought has been consistent and has been consistent even before he started feuding with Eddie Kingston has been John Moxley's promos and the work he does as promo. Very solid, constantly, never not a bad promo, and like always has some substance behind it too. And this one, how they pitched this one too, with Moxley kind of talking after almost it seemed like a workout or gym, something, and then interspersing it with Eddie like praying and doing sign of cross and rosaries and stuff like that. It made me like I watched it back a second time because the first time I didn't pick up on all that stuff since I was covering this thing. So I don't know. It kind of positioned it in a unique way, and then the match following up after it, like Eddie being ruthless with Matt Sydal and that kind of thing. What'd you think of that whole thing, segment and match?
So I thought it was good. At the end of the match, he was like kind of pretending that Sydal was Moxley.
Moxley, yeah.
And he apologized to him afterwards, which I don't know. I thought it was pretty unique. I don't like that it was Sydal. Sydal's new to the promotion. And again, you bring in a new guy, you put money into a new guy. You don't just start jobbing him out right away. It's not how you do it. So like I got no problem with him coming in against a guy like Austin Gunn and getting a win like that, or Brand Cutler. But there again, it should mean something. So like Matt Sydal, he maybe that's what they were going for, is like, well, he's got this reputation, he used to be a WWE guy, and he beat him. But it's like, how about we get another guy who used to be a WWE guy in there and have the job?
Zack Ryder, get Zack Ryder in there.
Sure. I'll tell you what, it'd be interesting to see Zack Ryder come in and take an L. I don't think he would do it probably, since he's not under contract, and why would you agree to take a loss on live television if you're not contracted? But I don't know. I wish it wasn't Matt Sydal, because I like him. I want to see him do well with the promotion, and to not only beat him, but then force him to say "I quit" on the mic. Not crazy about it.
Yeah, I was curious about that too. Especially, the way Sydal got presented to, like his entrance and stuff, it stood out. Like he was glammed up and everything like that. I was like, that's a pretty neat entrance for like a guy that's kind of established himself already as, Evan Bourne in WWE, and, traveled around with ROH and done all this other different stuff. So like he was pretty unique in like how they introduced him and everything in this match in particular. I do like Eddie nodding back, and I don't know if it was this week, but he was nodding back to like how Sydal I think it was that promo he cut before the match, has Sydal tried to ruin his moment, Eddie's moment in the Battle Royal, because he came in there and he debuted at that point, and then he even tossed some shade at Lance Archer, saying like, hey, I won I was never eliminated, kind of thing too. He tied that all in, so I thought that was a great motive for him to kind of take out some aggression on Matt. But yeah, like to have him be the one that says I quit, I don't know about that. Like,
and he already kind of came in with a check against him, because when he debuted, he had a pretty embarrassing wipeout as soon as he got to the ring.
Yeah.
So, you've already got some one little check mark against this guy, and now you're having him kind of like pussy out on TV and say, I quit. So I don't know. It's, I wasn't crazy about it. I want to see Matt succeed, because I remember really liking him when he was Evan Bourne. I like him now. I think he's got a unique gimmick, and certainly unique athleticism. So I kind of wish that they hadn't done that.
Yeah. So looking back, maybe I'm diving too deep in all this, but I want your take on it. I mentioned like the Moxley promo, and like Eddie's, they already talked about them being friends, and like even Moxley last week mentioned that, hey, I want to kind of get my friend back or something. He basically said,
it was
right?
Like, it's to beat you until you're my friend again. I don't know.
Yeah, something to that effect. And then not only that, but you have Eddie like doing all this religious stuff like throughout this promo and everything like that. I'm really curious to see Moxley maybe defeats Eddie, like we were talking about, that you predicted, and maybe they kind of do almost a swerve in this way and have him turn babyface, and then his allegiances with all these other guys kind of sour, and they turn heel or they turn babyface with him. But like then he becomes a new ally for Mox. What would you think of that? Or do you think that's maybe in the cards and maybe they're kind of throwing those light hints out there?
I see what you're saying, and I understand why. But for me personally, my personal taste when it comes to Eddie
Well, I'm
Kingston,
not saying your taste, but your opinion, like your thought on it. You know what I mean?
I like Eddie Kingston as a heel, and I want him to remain a heel. I don't think that he needs the guys around him, like the Butcher and the Blade, and the Lucha
Lucha
Bros.
Brothers.
Yeah, I don't think he needs that. I think he should be kind of like a lone heel, much like Jake the Snake was. And I think that he could have a pretty awesome run, especially because he doesn't have the substance abuse issues that Jake does. So yeah, a guy that you can rely on to be consistent in the main event and back with some substantial money in advertising. So I think he could very easily be the top heel in the company. It's just a matter of how they treat him. So yeah, no, for me, Dom, I don't want to see him align with Moxley. I want to see him be a thorn in Moxley's side.
See, the way you said it too, him being a loner and everything like that, I would like to see him be a babyface loner. Like, I think back to when Scott Hall was ousted by the NWO and he ended up being the lone wolf for a while. And like, I thought, obviously Scott had his personal issues and stuff at that point, so nothing could really come to fruition with that. But like you just mentioned with Jake, Eddie doesn't have that problem. So he could be that very almost heelish / anti-hero that sometimes aligns with Mox, but like at the deep core, he's got his on-air issues, like where he has these tendencies to be either a hot-headed or selfish or things like that. But when push comes to shove, he does the right thing. I would like to see that kind of maybe develop as something that he does down the road. But honestly, like him going as a loner baby face with almost kind of the gimmick that he has, but you take away all those heelish aspects of it, I feel could really have some tread to it too.
I see what you're saying. I don't know. I really like him as a heel. I want to see him continue to do more and continue to just be like this bitter, like I never made it up to New York kind of guy. I like the gimmick. So I don't know. I see value in both. We'll see what AEW does.
Yeah, yeah. Now here's the thing though, and this is the big sticking point, and I don't want this to be the big sticking point, is are these turns going to be deliberate and are they going to actually happen? Because we've been talking about like, hey, who's going to turn heel, who's going to turn face, and we've all just been kind of treading water, waiting for this moment to happen. So, like, I don't want this to be the albatross that's always constantly hanging over AEW's head. Is when are they? I don't want all these gray areas. I want some definity here.
Well, that's exactly it, Dom. And as we mentioned before, in all the movies, you know who the protagonist and the antagonist is. In every TV show, you know exactly who the protagonist is and who the antagonist is. It should be no different when it comes to pro wrestling. We need black and white. There's plenty of shades of gray in real life. I want simple, clean storylines, and I don't think it's too much to ask. Hopefully, they can start delivering it because is Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. It's like, okay, do I root for Kenny Omega who comes out and he's got like this real arrogant entrance now and he acts like a douche all match, or do I root for the guy who acts like a pathetic alcoholic down at the Moose Club in Hangman Page? So it's again, it makes it really hard for me to care. Whereas if they had clear cut, Kenny's an asshole. He loves himself. He's a heel. Hangman Page, good guy, always does the right thing. Enjoys the occasional beer, just like
that you want to have a beer with.
Exactly.
You don't want to like walk away from.
Exactly. So there again makes life a lot simpler, doesn't it? So I don't know. I hope they start to see the light over there because it is a clusterfuck at times.
It can be. It really can be. And it's like, it doesn't need to be. That's the shitty thing is like, there's so much stuff. Like even tuning back into this episode of Dynamite before we started recording here, I was like, man, it feels so good to see like Tony Schiavone back on my screen. It feels so good to like have like, characters that you can really want to get invested in, and, that have that freedom to flex their creativity and stuff. And all that, the presentation, everything like that, it stands out and is unique, and it's on TNT. It's really, really cool. There's just like these big missing parts that you want, just fix it.
There's a lot of feel good stuff. You're right. Seeing Eric Bischoff, I love JR, I love Schiavone. You know, like they hit a lot of the feels. I'll tell you what, Bischoff should be the commissioner of AEW. It would be tremendous. He could do.
You have him come in every couple of months or something like that, though.
Exactly. You don't need him there all the time. And you can even just say, like, Commissioner Bischoff has decreed that this match has to happen tonight. He doesn't have to be there for that.
No.
You just say that he said it. It's as easy as that. So I don't know. I hope they use him consistently. I'm a huge Bischoff mark. I want to continue to see him on national television every week. Well, not every week, but every so often. Eric B. He gets a bad rap. He's a good shit. What's next, Dom?
So what's next is something that's been also very inconsistent, but is a takeaway.
I just heard Scott Hall's voice. What was that?
That's my text message tone. That is my text message tone. Is the hey yos. But disregarding that, so match of the night that I could argue against for the opener, because I did say that was my match of the night, but another top contender, Serena Deeb versus Leyla Hirsch for not the AEW Women's title, but the NWA World's Women's Championship that Serena Deeb just won against Thunder Rosa. How is this the first time we've really seen Leyla Hirsch is my question.
She's awesome. I liked her a lot too. I like that she's very small and stocky, but it's like when she's in there moving, you can tell like, okay, this girl's done some mat work. Like she knows what she's doing out there. She could probably stretch a couple of the guys on the roster. So it was cool seeing her. And then Serena Deeb, she looks like she could stretch a couple guys on the roster. She's in tremendous shape. You can just tell that she knows exactly what to do with her body. She knows how to position herself. So yeah, I mean those two, I thought they really tore it down. Serena Deeb, very well deserving of NWA Women's Champ. I think it'd be cool to see her as AEW Women's Champ and NWA Women's Champ.
Yeah.
And have all the girls trying to chase her. You know, so yeah, I think that would be cool. Obviously, you know how I feel about Thunder Rosa. I think she's the best in the business right now.
Yes.
And not just the best female wrestler in the business, one of the best wrestlers in the business right now. So I'd love to see. How about a feud between her and Hirsch? You've got a lot of unique women, a lot of talented women. And, I'm excited about the future of the women's division in AEW right now for the first time, basically since its inception.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it just needs tightened up where it's like, okay, you got to focus on who the stars are, who's the stars you want to push, and how they're going to be positioned and where you're going to position them. I think it would be awesome if Serena won the title, but like hasn't been something that they factored in quite yet. We'll get to that in a second. But no, this match was awesome. Leyla Hirsch, I was kind of like, she's short. I'm living vicariously through her in this. Like, this is how, like, if I trained myself ever to be a wrestler and I wanted a certain style of how to wrestle, that's how I would want to do it. And I think she told that story well, like almost like chopping a tree down, where it's like you're getting her down to your level and you're just taking her legs out from under her and everything like that. That's what you want to do if you're that kind of size and stature. And she looked credible doing it. So, yeah.
She's the female Dean Malenko.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Wow. How about that? How about that? That might be a good episode name. But yeah, dude, something that I did not like was the shoehorning in of the AEW Women's title at the end. Like Alex Marvez is with Takara Shida and just like, hey, we're gonna have a match, Nyla Rose. That's it. Yep. At Full Gear. Nothing else to it. They've mentioned that Nyla Rose was not wrestling until she got a women's title shot or until she fought Akira Shida. But that's been weeks ago, and I can't even remember if that was on the main program or not. So it's
and where has she been? Well,
exactly.
You know, you've got these women who are out there tearing it up, and then it's like, oh, why is she the number one contender? I haven't seen her. Why did you invest all this money in Vicky Guerrero to come in and she doesn't do anything anymore? It's just, I don't know, man. I wonder what's going on.
Yeah, some of that's just, and like it's cool. Like I love that incorporation of the NWA Women's Title, and I hope that what that means is like not only you're going to elevate somebody like Serena Deeb, but I'm hoping that that's more of a concrete relationship with Thunder Rosa, who I don't know how she's not signed, Leyla Hirsch isn't signed, and Serena Deeb is signed, so that now she is a All Elite, but I hope that's more of an indication, but. I mean, your own title is not getting enough of a focus. So, you got to make me care about the title. I like Akira Shida, but and I like Nyla Rose, but you haven't done anything with them.
Well, and I have to say, man, I think that these girls that are coming in, Thunder Rosa, Serena Deeb, and Hirsch, these girls are coming in and they're kind of embarrassing the AEW women's division. I don't care about the AEW women's title, but every time I hear that the NWA women's championship is going to be defended, I lean in toward my TV a little bit. So it's
and that's the problem. That's the problem because they're
putting these girls to shame. And I think that they had this idea that, hey, Akira Shida, she's going to be a star. We got to sign Nyla, she's going to be a star. And it's like I think they could be. But right now they're getting outshone, and you need to go with the hot WWE with Daniel Bryan. Just take the hot hand. It's what people want. It's what we're all enjoying. Maybe the other things you want to see happen will happen organically, but for right now, just back the horse that keeps winning.
Yeah, I mean that can certainly be said to that. Now, but wouldn't you want that though from a perspective of change the important from the brand perspective, you'd want that to the focus, maybe to necessarily ride the hot hand of the stars, like the women that you want to focus on, but you'd want to change that focus to your own title, at some point here.
That's why you take somebody like Thunder Rosa or Serena Deeb and have them come out and beat Akira Shida, take that women's championship, and have people like Nyla Rose chasing.
Yeah. It's just the pieces are getting there. And you have the talent that are there, like Leyla is an immediate star. I feel Serena Deeb's established herself and can further establish herself. Thunder Rosa obviously has that impact, but all those two of those three aren't signed, and so you got to do something. Obviously, Britt Baker's in the mix, but you'll get to that point too.
Britt Baker's becoming a comedy act. I don't take her seriously as a wrestler anymore. I want to.
I think we will. I think we will, though. I mean,
can.
Yeah, she can be almost like a female Jericho, in a lot of ways, where it's at that point she's incredible already. She's funny already. I think those pieces can come together where you can put her in a main event picture with the women's division. So,
I hope so. But you start with where the talent is and build the other girls through them. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I think that's true too. Let's see. Anything? Oh, geez, we didn't even talk about Orange Cassidy and Cody, the Lumberjack match.
And we've still got to discuss Miro, so let's go through it quickly.
Sure. So the match, I loved Orange Cassidy and how the story started off, where he's just he tricks Cody almost in a way, acts like he's gonna be casual, but he's not. He just fires off, makes the stakes in the match important, and just really hammered home the point. I think Orange Cassidy is just going to be a huge star in wrestling, going forward. Now, how the match continued on with the Lumberjack interference and all that kind of thing, don't necessarily think I was too big of a fan of. What about you?
Yeah, Lumberjack matches were traditionally used when you had two guys in the ring that were pretty green, or two guys that didn't have good chemistry in the ring. So I don't see why it was necessary here. If you remember in your house, I think it was in your house too. It was Diesel and Sid. They had a Lumberjack match. It was to cover up the fact that the guys had no chemistry. Both of them were still relatively green as far as their abilities in the ring. And so they were like, okay, we got to bring in all this other talent to kind of fluff up the match a little bit. And so, I mean, for me, I see it between two guys who were pretty talented in the ring, especially Cody. These guys are very talented in the ring. I'm like, I don't know why you need a Lumberjack match, first of all, unless all they want, were they just building toward that spot where it's the superplex to the outside? Clearly that was in the mix all along. That was always coming. But yeah, and then it was also weird because it's okay, the best friends are baby faces, but they're interfering in this match as heels. and on behalf of Orange Cassidy. So does that make Orange Cassidy a heel? Are the best friends heels? So I think that when you do that, you invite situations that are not conducive to your overall scheme. So, like, sure, why would you not interfere because you want your buddy to win? But that's also a dick thing to do. It's something that a heel would do.
Something that, yeah, your baby faces would not do because it's moralistically against their code, what they would do.
Why put them in that position in the first place? I just don't see why it was necessary. I'm glad Cody went over. I think that could or would and should have been the plan all along.
I can kind of argue against that. I almost feel like Orange should have won in a way, but either way, it's fine.
I'm not as big as Orange as you are right now. But I don't know. Hopefully, I hope the best for him.
You say that as you're dressed as Orange?
Yeah, so I'm not crazy about the guy. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But
I love Orange Cat. I think dude. There's so much from that aspect. Like he's unique. Like he's shown that fighting spirit, which you do not see in everybody. And I just think it's a very, very unique persona and something that really, really has legs that people can like push back against and have, like, especially like guys like Jim Cornette and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. There's a lot of legs to that, I feel, to him.
Well, I guess time will tell, Dom.
Time will tell. All right. So this was a thing you brought up. Off the air, I was like, hey, is there anything else I'm missing off of this list? And you're like, oh, I wanted to talk about Miro. I was like, what did he do again? I think that's pretty much exemplifies how Miro's run so far has been in AEW. But yeah, when you reminded me of that segment, I was like, that was kind of I liked how the segment started with trick-or-treating bullshit. It was topical, I guess. And but otherwise, let's get your thoughts on it. What do you think of this whole little instant taste of Miro this time around?
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it was because as it was happening, it was reminding me of something. I just couldn't put my finger on it. And then I was laying in bed thinking about it, and it all sank in. I was...
What a time to think about Miro.
I was thinking about Miro and the trick-or-treating. It occurred to me, Dominic, that Miro, I think he might run the Iron Sheik's Twitter account because, all the vibes I got, that's what it reminded me of. So it's like he shows up for the best friends and he's like, hey, we have truce, I give you trick or treating. And then they come and they beat him up and he's like holding the guy. He's like, I never forgive you. Does that just seem like something from the Iron Sheik's Twitter account? Like, fuck you break my shit. Fuck you, jabroni. I never forgive you.
I throw you against the wall.
I break your back, make you humble. So yeah, it was bad, Dom. And then at the end, it was like their payoff was like, hey, and check it out, we got a new one of these things.
What? I didn't get that. Why was that wrapped? I don't get why that was a gift and why it was there. I don't understand any of that.
It's that, but they were like, yeah, check it out, we bought a new one, so everything's cool for us again.
Let's get the game.
And it's like, okay, those are our stakes. Then these are our stakes. You've got an intelligent dinosaur in the company, and now you've got two guys who are pissed off over a fucking video game. Dominic, I don't know what is going on over there. For every good segment, there's a complete garbage segment.
What the fuck was that?
Tears it down. It's like, man, I recommend to people, who are into wrestling. I work with a few guys who haven't really watched since the 90s, and I'm just like, you guys got to check out AEW. But then I'm just like, I don't know, if they were to tune in, theoretically they could easily come back to me the next day and be like, what's with that dinosaur who was nervous on the financials. Right, talking about his master's degree, or what's with those guys who were pissed off over the video games, and I would have no answer.
What's that dude? What's up with that dude in the Minnie Mouse shirt on?
Right, and his $1,500 outfit that looks like he fell into a rack at Goodwill, and then just just walked out of the place.
I make you humble, rack.
Fuck you, jabroni! I never forgive you.
What can you now?
I'm just kidding. Oh my God, man. It was, yeah, it reminded me of the Iron Sheik's Twitter account.
Honestly, my favorite part of that segment was just Penelope Ford just walking out like Orange Cassidy and giving the thumbs up, and then that was it. Like, otherwise, it was just like, what the fuck?
Even that, it's like, so are we to believe that these guys are marks for other people in the promotion, that they want to dress up like them? I don't like. I don't get it, man.
Yeah, it's very strange, man. It's like some of this stuff you got to tighten up. I don't understand it. It doesn't. This segment does not benefit anybody in this whole thing.
It all feels very thrown together. Like I don't think Tony Khan is sitting down writing TV every week anymore. I think he has like 4 or 5 ideas, and then he'll like go to people. He's like, well, we gotta get you on TV this week. What do you want to do?
I bet he has like a framework set up, of what a general idea of what he wants. But then, like, and you do want to see this to an extent, is like give talent creative freedom. But it's like, it's almost like he's got the framework set up, and he's like, okay, guys, here, do what you want with it. Instead of like, he'll be like, okay, here's the framework I made. There, use it, look at it, give it back to me, and let me take another look at it. And
Tony Khan, if you're listening, and I know you are, let me book Dynamite for 1 week, and I guarantee I'll get you one of the best episodes there's ever been.
Shoot your shot like Peter Avalon.
That's it. I'm shooting my shot right now. Seriously, though.
I bet he's conferring with the Young Bucks and Kenny and Cody right now. They're all conferring, and then they're just laughing at you like the Inner Circle did.
They probably are. They probably are. But hey, man, maybe I should be the one laughing with their intelligent dinosaur and their people that are pissed off over video games. I don't know. But then again, I'm tuning in every week, so who gets the last?
That's right. Who gets the? And you know what? Back to your point too about that. And then we'll close out the show is with your segment. But when people ask me about wrestling, like casual fans, they're like, "Oh yeah, I haven't watched WWE in a while or anything like that." I for the most part, overall, I feel pretty confident in pitching AEW to them. I'm just like, you got to watch AEW Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. I talked about this with Matt McCarthy actually, but then and overall, I'll feel like there'll be moments where I'm like, oh man, as a casual fan, like you're trying to bring somebody back and they see that's not that good. But overall, if they sit down and watch a match or take a moment to see it, I think a wrestling fan or a casual fan, non-fan would be impressed by it. I'd feel confident. I don't feel insecure pitching AEW Dynamite to people.
I occasionally do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of the guys don't pass the eye test, which again, that was always Vince's thing, right? Where if you see that guy walking through the airport, like if you see Orange Cassidy walking through the airport, would you like drop what you were doing and look at him? I wouldn't.
No, like that's a point. Like a lot of guys will get lost in the shuffle, like of that, like the public shuffle, so to speak.
Yep. So it's, so you've got to get their personalities over, but then when you book them in stupid storylines, how are you supposed to get their personalities over? So I don't know, like Miro passes the eye test. I'd probably drop it and be like, holy shit, look at that guy dressed up like the Lost and Found came to life. Look at the size of him.
He's like Margie the Trash Heap from Fraggle Rock.
Yes. Who's that guy over there who's dressed up like the pigeon lady from Home Alone 2? He is incredible physique. But yeah, it's a lot of those guys don't pass the eye test. So it's I don't know. I'm hoping for better, not anticipating better, unless he gives me the book.
Gives you the book and the pencil.
Give me the book and the pencil, Tony Khan, and we'll turn this ship around.
We'll steer it right around for you there, buddy.
All right, Dom. The Marcus Meltzer rating this week. Yeah, not the best episode. Had some great moments, but the shitty parts tore it down quite a bit. I'm giving it a 5.8 this week.
Okay.
So yeah, certainly not the best I've seen. Do that stuff with. At this point, I want Miro off my TV. I don't want to see him anymore.
But is that really like a huge way down of the episode overall? Like, I mean, it's a bad segment.
Yep, because you've invested a lot of equity in this guy. He's a former WWE guy. He got super over in WWE, and WWE shoved him right back down. They said, hey, reach for the brass ring. He did, and they just punched him right in the balls. Right in his Bulgarian balls. So you bring this guy in, and I'm like, hey, finally, we're going to get to see him shine. Nope. So
video games. Battletoads.
I never forgive you. So
you break my Battletoads.
So yeah, I'm super over it with him. And it drug down the episode quite a bit. So yeah, Dom, 5.8, hoping for better. But hey, it's probably still better than what WWE's given us. Take it,
Marcus.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll still take it.
MVP. Who's your MVP?
MVP this week. Damn, I didn't even give this any thought, Dom. You go first, and then I'll go.
Well, it's not my segment, Marcus.
Is MVP my thing? I thought we both picked MVPs.
I can pick it. Yeah, you know what? I'll join in the fold here.
Oh boy, this is not compelling.
I can always cut.
Well, I think you should.
Maybe I'll leave it just to spite you. Golly, I'm gonna go.
I got it.
You got it? Okay, let's hear yours.
Serena Deeb.
Serena Deeb. Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, Serena Deeb's my MVP. She showed out. She wasn't a great promo. I'll say that much. I thought her little pre-tape thing was not the best.
It wasn't that bad though. It wasn't
that bad. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't great though. But I mean, her ring work doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. She doesn't need to be great on the mic. Her ring work is incredible.
Yeah. My MVP, Hangman Page. I just really love the opener. I think they're making the turnaround with him as far as like positioning him well as who he is. And I just love that fucking finish, man. The 2 buckshot lariats. That, like, we talked about people kicking out of finishes. That was a moment where you could that made sense.
Yep.
And it protected Wardlow, and you further got Hangman over too by it. So my MVP, Hangman Page. How's that sound?
Absolutely. So not the best episode of Dynamite. Pretty good episode of 2 Dynamite dudes.
Yeah, you know what? We made up for it. We're all decked out here. Marcus, favorite Halloween candy? What you got?
It's just good candy in general. I like Kit Kat bars.
Kit Kat bars. Really? I would never.
I'm a big
trick or treat with you several times, and that never fathomed me.
I'm a big Kit Kat and Reese's guy, Dom.
You can't beat the Reese's. I'm more of a Reese's guy nowadays. Used to be Kit Kat kid, not no more. So, all right, Mark, how they follow you on Twitter?
You can find me at Marcus P. D'Angelo.
That's it. That's all.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, right. Next figure in the line. What do you got for your WCW wall there?
I pre-ordered Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan, that is.
Yes.
So he should be coming mid-November.
Not the one that feuded with the New Blood.
No, not that one. Not the one that did the job for Billy Kidman. No, this is like 97 Hollywood.
If they made a Horace Hogan figure, would you buy it?
I'd buy it so I could throw it away. Which is what Eric Bischoff should have done to actual Horace Hogan. Is like had a segment where there's like a garbage truck pulls up and all the guys just fucking fling him in there.
Well, that's how he exited Raw in WWE. Didn't they throw him in a dumpster?
That's what they did to Bischoff. That was like his final day.
Yeah,
I would have liked to have seen that with Horace Hogan. And I think probably the Disciple probably could have gone in there too.
Yeah, him, Booty Man, just the whole shebang.
BK Wall Street, throw him in there, even though I like Mike Rotunda.
Maybe just take his his NWO shirt off and throw it in there.
Yeah,
go somewhere. Make something better of yourself.
Yeah, something. For crying out loud.
All right,
yeah, that's gonna do it, Dom.
It's gonna do it. You can follow me on Twitter at Dominic D'Angelo. Follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com. Go to WrestleZone.com for all your wrestling news needs. Interviews I have. Just did a really, really great one with the comedian Matt McCarthy. Marcus, I really want you to actually listen to it too because he's just a funny dude. He mentioned, we talked about Le Dinner Debonair, and he brought up the Triple H Katie Vick storyline too. So, but really good insight. He's a former writer for WWE. He's done it twice. 2 different times, and it really brings the perspective of comedy and how it works in wrestling. So I did want to get his take on the Dinner Debonair, but we also break down Hell in a Cell and some funny stories about Vince. He's got the best Vince McMahon impression ever of all time. Can't be topped.
Gotta check it out.
give that a listen or watch. It's both on YouTube. And then who else have we interviewed this past week? Oh, Tracy Williams from ROH, who's just in the Pure tournament. He made the finals. He's we just got a conversation with him. And then there's somebody else too. But always be on the lookout. WrestleZone wrap up with Kevin Kellum and Robert DeFelice. I subbed in for Robert subbed in for Kevin. And we did a show, but they do an awesome job each and every week. Kevin's a standout personality, and Robert's another personality. So really good stuff. Just be on the lookout for all that kind of content happening. Not only on our podcast feed, which you go WrestleZone. Just type in WrestleZone on your podcast feed of choice. We'll pop right up. Go to your YouTube channel. That's where you'll see Marcus dressed like Orange Cassidy, half-assed, and me dressed half-assed, quite literally like Dustin Rhodes here. So
just the makeup is half-assed.
How dare you? I got the shirt too, the Road Stream, baby. All right.
You mentioned Tracy Williams. We'd be remiss not to mention Tracy Smothers passed away.
Yes.
Huge RIP there. I didn't get to watch much of his stuff. I did get to see some of his stuff when he was a member of the FBI, hilariously from Nashville, Italy. So yeah, he was tremendous, great talent, and man, the stories I've been hearing about him after he passed away sounds like an unbelievably good human being.
Marcus, there's that one story. Edge, did you see Edge's story about him?
I did. So
unbelievable.
Go check out Edge's Twitter feed regarding Tracy Smothers.
Happy birthday to Edge too. Today's his birthday too.
Yes. So go check that out. He's got he talks about just what a generous, giving person Tracy Smothers was. Good human. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man. Like such a like talent that flies under the radar, but like you see everybody that he influenced, from like ECW guys to newer guys like that from ROH days, like when it was like Chris Hero. Everybody has a great Tracy Smothers story. Nothing. Only 58 too. Can you believe that? Like only 58.
A huge loss to the wrestling world. Yeah, helped a lot of guys out along the way. The Blue Meanie. I mean, the list goes on and on.
The list is just nonstop. Yeah. Nonstop, dude. Everybody's got a good story, it seems, about Tracy Smothers. I'm sad I never got to interview him or meet him or anything like that. But man, what a guy! And I think there's a support thing that you can help donate to that's going on. I'll post that in our podcast feed link with this episode. So.
But
yeah,
thanks for that up. I'm glad you mentioned that. Wrestling in the internet era and WWE Network, he lives on through his legacy. So it's good that if you're gonna take any positive away, it's there.
And if you wanna get into wrestling and wanna keep a good attitude about it, somebody to seek out, like to see what their legacy was all about, would be Tracy Smothers. So
absolutely. All right. Sorry to bring you down, guys. We'll see you next week.
That's okay. We'll see you next week, guys. Happy Halloween, eh? Keep it up.